There was an interesting debate I watched in a short video on YouTube, and there was a question that came in and said, would the world be a much better place if it were ruled by women? And the guys like directly stated, no, it's not gonna be, it's gonna be much more worse, the world will easily end. And the arguments brought were quite logical, if we are to say. See, women can be good rulers, but the problem is, unfortunately, this world is not created to breed and especially to nurture rulers. Its only purpose is to breed and nurture submissive people. See, the problem with you women is that emotional output is what, and especially input, is what guides you the most. The problem is, as one of the guys stated, you end up in a period and someone pisses you off, you start throwing nukes, right? Even research stated that women are more likely to get into fights and into arguments, and even women, like female rulers, were more prone and more violent, right? More prone to violence because women fundamentally do not know what violence is, okay? Now, sure, throughout the time, obviously, women being the slightly weaker physical gender, they may have been exposed to rapes and such. But rape ultimately is a small part of the violence that a man can go through. Because ultimately, men, since a very young age, and even genetically, they know what violence is because they are the ones who put out the violence in the most place, right? Men are the ones who put violence physically out, and women are the ones who use emotional violence, right? All sorts of manipulation techniques, silent treatments, all sorts of these. And throughout society's time, well, both genders, manage to evolve all sorts of techniques around these two energies. Now, if it would come to my answer, see, the simple direct question that I would ask is, do you men and women think that you are needed by this society, right? Because you two genders are simply irrelevant when they are pushing out only LGBT and especially transgender agendas. And this will also fall soon because they're interested in making, human 1.8, which will be the hermaphrodite human. And once this one comes, transgenders will simply be irrelevant, right? And well, they will feel pissed, but this society doesn't care about you anyways. If you're dumb enough to not realize that through the pandemic, society wanted you dead, irrespective of what gender you were, what identifier you were, what name you have, what uh, breed you have, what backgrounds, what anything that you have, what skin color that you have. It didn't care about that, right? All it cared is that you kill yourself through that, and well, that's it. That was their point. Or if it didn't manage to kill you, well, at least maim you, right? And obviously prepare you for future experiments that with other foods and all sorts of chemicals that they strategically put into your plate. Well, you turn into the right monster that they want you to be, psychologically or even physiologically. So, a society, see, I see a society from a very sensitive standpoint because if you don't watch life through a level of sensitivity, everything to you is nothing else but mechanics, and you will be nothing else but a slave of your brain, and you will study things only through the tendencies that those things have, but you're never gonna be capable of asking yourself what are the main principles behind this, right? Behind those patterns. And well, many of those simply can't be understood logically. Most of the things in this universe require a very sensitive approach. So I see society as a child in a way. See, a very good society needs many generations of people who know what they have to do. You don't simply raise awareness in a society in a single generation. Well, that is a good start, but you have to persevere with that. You have to preserve it, right? Just like the elites nowadays are simply constantly pushing generation after generation their stupid agendas to make our children even more illiterate in terms of natural thinking, natural existence, and even more idiotic in terms of whatever it is that their body is represented by. So the very simple point is humanity is being turned into a circus, and a lot of people seem to be just enjoying that because it is a very good distraction. And there are a lot of people that simply they just go along because they don't know anything else, right? They think that they're doing something good. This is another point of this sick society. It only wants you idiot, and the main target are always going to be women because the quality of their body, right? The quality of their body dictates the quality of life that they bring when they give birth. And since women all started, growing fat, eating unhealthy, smoking, because there was a great agenda to keep you smoking, right? The point is they will bring in idiot children, right? Children who won't have much of a capacity to become much better life force, much better people than the parents were. So, do you think women and men are necessarily important in this when you have all these bozos everywhere crying that you have misgendered them? It simply doesn't matter whether you are misgendered or not, because when you're an ignorant, you simply can't accept the truth that if you have breasts, you'll be labeled as a woman. If you don't have, you'll be labeled as a man. This is how all species function. This is how nature has evolved throughout the course of billions of years. If you simply want to deny that, well, it's your own psychiatry. But if you just want to fight against nature, you're gonna suffer a lot. And, well, the easy part is that you will want to blame everyone else for your misfortunes. That in itself is enough psychiatry. In a society, if you want to grow a healthy society, you need both man and woman. In my opinion, you need both man and woman because both know their own part and their own output towards society can actually be much greater than a single person. Because all the societies that were led by one single person, be it a female or a man, had a certain rise and became empires, but all empires fall because the problem is they will easily lose themselves once there is nothing more to do, right? And I would say a society doesn't necessarily need a man and a woman to rule them. It only needs both the energies to be healthy. Feminine healthy energy, masculine healthy energy. It doesn't matter who allows this or who helps this to become so, but the greatest influence will be that of one person or several persons to support this, right? And to support the ignorance towards the such, so that from a certain generation, a big part of the population supports that by themselves, so that leaders aren't that much needed. And once people know exactly what to do and what purpose to function in a society, and everyone has an idea of this sensitivity of life, well, things can start becoming better and better, because as that installs within your DNA, your future generations will be more prone to function that way, so sensitivity will become stronger and stronger. Both genders are capable of sensitivity, but the point is, if you live in ignorance, well, women will usually be worse leaders because they don't know what violence is. Once they are pissed, they will start throwing all sorts of victimization, and that means throwing everything else but them in a war against the target. Because women fundamentally don't know what violence is. Men know that because most of the situations and environments they live in typically are like that. A lot of times when men end up one against the other in a stalemate, or in a stare down, or in a so-called silent treatment, is because they already envision in their mind how they will be butchering one another. That is why sometimes, or in most cases, they simply want to avoid direct physical confrontation, right? Which is something that women can't simply understand. Both genders have a big problem in ignorance because one thinks way too logically and one tends to think way too emotionally. So as I said, balance of leaders is the most important. Hopefully this video offered a bit of awareness. Take care, enjoy life, and well, these being said, Ferinjan Board signing out.